Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Ketchadori.
Awesome. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are so excited for you because what you're about to discover is going to truly change everything. In fact, we're going to be talking about the frequently asked questions around this area. You know, sometimes you just need a straightforward answer to a question that you may have. And today, we just have the right expert to share with you what works today. And this is based not only from just theory, it's good to have theory, but from experience that spans over a very long period of time, and the proof in the customers and the testimonials that are on the website that this stuff we're going to be talking about actually works. Now, before I introduce our guest here today, I want to remind you to go into the community and get ready to ask any questions that you may have around this topic, because, you know, these times we have on the podcast, we can only cover so much, but the rest of the conversation, the real conversation or in-depth conversation happens in the community. So you want to go into the community and ask those questions. There will be a link at the bottom of this page for you to ask those questions. Now, back to our guest. Incredible. Thanks again for joining us here. Truly appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us and be generous with your knowledge. Now, for those who are yet to discover you or who haven't met you or discovered some of the things that you do, could you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your background, your education, and your experience in this area? And while you're at it, let people know whether you have been an overnight success, which I know there isn't, and if you haven't, what has worked for you over the years for you to become the expert that you are today?
Hi, I have worked at this all my life, and I find the harder I work, the luckier I get. I'm an attorney mediator, and what I get to do is talk to people for a living and solve problems and get invited into the most difficult times in people or companies' lives. And I'll tell you, working with a billion-dollar pharmaceutical company or a trade dispute or a commercial dispute is no difficult than you dealing with your neighbor or your kid's coach or some small claims court type of an action that you have. We're all human beings. We all have bumper car egos. And knowing the tricks on how to hold the calm makes all the difference. Let me share those with you now.
Awesome. Thank you. Absolutely appreciate that. Now, in my journey, I've got to be honest with you, I've had to overcome a lot of roadblocks, from right at the beginning of my business journey. Even up to now, I consistently have to overcome these roadblocks. I want to talk to you about roadblocks. What roadblocks did you face earlier on, and how did you overcome them?
I've been a lawyer a long time, and as a woman, it was very challenging back in the day, decades ago. It wasn't as accepted that a woman would do hard level commercial business types of cases. And I was told, little lady, and to get out of the way more times than I can think. But what it did is it created my wishbone into a backbone. And that strength, I've earned every scar, I've earned every wrinkle. And I'd like to say I know a few things because I've been through a few things. And I would say that to all of you. Look at all of your early experiences. Every challenge, every roadblock, everything you've had to overcome has made you stronger. And as my husband likes to say, the hottest furnace makes the strongest steel.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for becoming in that example that, these roadblocks can be overcome because you did it. And I know Bill listening in here can attest that they too will be able to overcome because it has been done before. Now, what was your first major breakthrough that gave you that, perhaps assurance that you were on the right path?
My biggest breakthrough was I realized I was good at this and I could actually help solve intractable problems. People who could see no way out were in absolute misery and difficulty and conflict. And their only option was either violence or fighting or lawsuits or surrender or withdrawal. And I could actually create harmony. I could actually work a deal. Sometimes it was marvelous and really a kumbaya, beautiful type of moment where people really understood each other. And sometimes it was a cold, hard peace, but we got to a peace agreement. It's marvelous when that happens.
That's awesome. That is incredible. How is the world, perhaps, in this area has changed or is different now than when you got started?
I think the world is tenser now and more difficult and more isolated, and people are more lonely. I saw an interview by a woman that had been a flight attendant on an airline for 40 years. And they said, "How has it changed for you?" And she said, "Well, when they hired me, they issued me gloves, little white gloves. Now they issue me handcuffs." I think that that may be part of the problem we have now, is that people are so lonely and isolated and angry, and we don't have an off-gassing valve to deal with all of that anger. That's what holding the calm does, allows us to have that off-gassing valve so that we're not just cavemen and cavewomen. We actually have forks and spoons and knives and chopsticks. So we have tools to know how to handle things.
Indeed. Things don't stay the same, do they? They keep changing. And I've discovered that the people who are quick to adapt to the situation are the ones that will stay in the business for a very, very long time. And the ones that wants to stay with the old system tends to be out of business in no time. I think of the blockbusters, the DVDs and the video. Back in the time, they all went out of business. We don't know exactly the ins and out of that, but they were not very quickly to adopt and become very, flexible in accepting the new system or the new way of doing things. Therefore, if Bill, you're listening, you may want to look at how flexible you are when it comes to these things. While at it, I've just thought of something else. I was listening to one of my mentors a few years ago, and he said, in business, you have to be as fluid as water. The water flows, it follows the path of least resistance. It follows. You never find water flowing uphill. It's always downhill. And the concept he was trying to share with me there is, the world is changing. And whatever you're going through, whatever you're trying to build, look for that path of least resistance and go with that. If it means changing something, leaving a certain way, or leaving a certain aspect of your business, adopting a certain aspect of your business, you do that, you're going to, in a way, you'll be able to increase your chances of staying in business over a long period of time. I know I've wandered a little bit there, but I just felt it'll be applicable at this point because it still works for me today. I always, in every situation, follow the path of least resistance. Let's talk about how can you get started fast in this area for those who are listening.
I love how you talk about water finding the path of least resistance. That's called flow, my friend, and that was beautifully said. And so how can you find flow? But yet sometimes don't we get stronger by our challenges, by things we have to overcome? So it really is a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? We have to have things be easy and go with the flow, but we have to be tough and strong to overcome challenges. Being able to handle that balance is really what will make you successful.
I guess a lot of people, including me, of course, wants to know how long does it take to see real results, tangible result in this area, and perhaps how much commitment it takes, maybe on a daily or weekly basis, to begin to see results that we want. So perhaps in your experience and in helping a lot of people, how long does it take really to see sizable results, something that we'll be proud of.
Again, those are good insights. The reason I wrote Holding the Calm is that people don't have time to get a degree or to take a master class or to get some kind of certificate. They need to know how to handle tension and conflict right now. What can I do right now that it's quick and that it's easy? Let me give you a good analogy. You drip spaghetti sauce on the counter, you wipe it up with a sponge. It's no big deal. You leave it overnight, you're scraping it off with a spatula. You leave it 2 or 3 months, it's old and moldy and nasty. Let's wipe it up easily and quickly. That's the trick. And that's what the Holding the Calm technique does. It's quick, it's easy, and you can improve things right now.
I couldn't resist asking this question I'm about to ask, because you've explained things so clearly, these steps, and how, and even titled how long it takes, and it's very clear. But you and I know that not everybody is going to be doing what you just shared here. And in your experience, what stops most people from really doing what you've just talked about here, and how they can avoid those roadblocks, perhaps, so to speak, or those things that will steal their goal from them? Would you help us explore this for a moment?
People are just afraid. That's why they don't do it. I don't know how to. Who am I? What will they say? What if they react poorly? Then I don't know how to do it. That's what stops people from thriving and from taking risks. So one of the things I told my kids when they had children, and they were freaking out over how difficult it is having children, I said, you are going to make 10,000 decisions. Only 9,000 of them have to be right. That means you have permission to make 1,000 bad decisions. If you give yourself permission to fail, then you've got permission to try. And in the trying, miraculous things can happen. There are times when you'll blunder through something and it will turn out absolutely great. And when it doesn't turn out great, now you get data. You're going to learn. You're going to be better the next time. That's how you do it. And that's why I wrote Holding the Calm with 20 chapters. Each chapter has a tool. Each chapter has a bunch of stories and anecdotes and easy things so that you can apply it in your own life right away and easy. Easy, life is so hard. Let's make it a little bit easier if we can.
Awesome. That's really great. Given what you know about this, where are the big opportunities coming up, for anybody who's looking at and maybe thinking, is there an opportunity coming up? Would you explore based on what you know, what's happening in the industry right now?
The crazy thing is that no matter what magnificent building is built, somebody with one stick of dynamite can destroy it. Somebody who's angry, who didn't have an off-gassing mechanism, can walk in with a gun and destroy your life. Those are the big opportunities that actually happen here. You have opportunities to change something, to fix something, to be an off-gassing mechanism for tension and conflict and difficulty in everyday life. And when you learn how to master these Holding the Calm skills, they will follow you through your entire life in every area, whether it's at work or at school or with a kid or with a relative that you can't stand at dinner or with political discussion, anything. It actually works in all areas of your life to make your life better and richer and to wipe that spaghetti sauce up while it's wet. That's how we do it.
And who should pay particular attention in this area? Because they stand to benefit the most.
Well, it's a great question because it sounds trite, but everyone. Because every human being has an ego. Every human being has an amygdala, which is the fear and negativity center of the brain. And we all walk around playing bumper car egos with each other. And it could be at the grocery store because someone cuts in line ahead of you. It could be because your boss didn't treat you right or you didn't get the promotion you wanted. It could be because a company didn't give you the sale. It could be because someone's fighting you on a patent. It can be because your kid's not listening. I've been doing podcasts from parenting to giant commercial intellectual property disputes. Holding the calm works everywhere and with everybody because we all get in trouble. We all have conflict. Let's say somebody gets really mad at you. Say to them, have I offended you? And the person will either say yes, and you'll get information, or they'll say no, 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 and they'll backpedal. So there's sentence stems in the book that literally you memorize, or you have them on a little Post-it note near your desk. And you just use these sentence stems all the time. You want another really great one? Before you're going to say something to somebody that may be bad news, you say, you know what I'd really admire about you? You know what I really respect about you? Look what happens. What? Their ears open up immediately, and they want to hear everything you have to say. So spread a little validation around. It's like magic beans. It just greases the tracks of everything.
I would be taking notes at that, because if I notice that I am going to benefit the most, I would do everything I can to make sure that I'm in line to receive that. Let's switch gears for a moment and talk about the fastest way to succeed, and the best time to get started in this area, so that it becomes very clear and people can schedule, what they need to do right away.
Thank you for asking that, because it's a great question. Get the book. I purposely made it in paperback and made it really inexpensive. Holding the Calm, The Secret to Resolving Conflict and Diffusing Tension. You can get it on Amazon. You can get anywhere the books are sold. And it's a simple, easy read. And what I would do is get 2 copies, one for you and one for somebody else, so that now you have a lexicon. You have something to talk with each other. And you got a partner. It's much easier to go hand in hand through a difficult situation than to have to go it alone. And it's simple and it's easy. And like I'm saying, it's a fork, it's a spoon, it's a knife, it's chopsticks. How do we handle conflict? How do we reduce tension? And how do I do it quick and fast and easy? And one of the beautiful things that I loved is that I have so many stories in the book. And I really expected that there would be 3 or 4 bestsellers. That's not been the case. Everybody has their own story. Everyone likes their own particular one, which is almost like personalized medicine. It's rare and it's individual. This is what works for me. Well, what is going to work for you? And you've got stories in the book, and I do it on purpose. Take them. Use my stories. Instead of lecturing somebody, say, you know what? Can I tell you a story? And then tell them one of the stories. It's absolutely magical. The Torah, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Dharmasala, the Quran, everything teaches in stories, because that's the way our brains receive information. So take the stories I have in my book, use them. Let your life be magical.
Absolutely incredible. I'm certainly enjoying this conversation. Can I remind you, Bill, and everybody listening in today, that you can certainly ask any follow-up questions to any of the areas we are touching on here today in the community. I will be in there, the team will be in there, and everybody will be in there to support you. Coming back to you, let's talk about tools. Are there any special tools or training or equipment that will help through the process? We might as well talk about the kind of cost generally that people should expect to improve their skill set and for them to become what we are talking about here and capitalize on the opportunities that are ahead.
Well, again, that's why I wrote this book. 0 cost. Well, I guess the small cost it is for a paperback book, but nothing, no costs at all. That's what makes this so easy and so good. You don't need to go get some big fancy degree or some special expertise something. Read the book, implement it, do it, make your life magic. Literally, that's what you can do.
Incredible. And what kind of results can people expect if they do things right? And are these results typical, for anybody who is starting out, or even those who've been around for a while?
Well, as luck would have it, instant results. Let me show you one quick thing. We talked about the sandwich technique. I need to deliver bad news to you. Well, I could just tell you and have you blow up at me, or I can start out with telling you something that is valid, authentic, and true, that I respect about what you do, give you the bad news, and then valid, respectful, and true. So literally, I'm opening up your ears to hear something, give you the information, and then I'm making a little bit of a WD-40 grease to go through it so that you hear it better and your ears are open. That's one of the things that really works. Some of these sentence stems we've talked about, those are things that you can have instantly to be able to use. I have a technique in the book called VUCS, VUCS, and I did it on purpose because when you're mad at them, you can tell them to go VUC themselves, which hopefully everybody is laughing. And I did that on purpose because you won't forget it now. So V is validate, U is understand, C is clarify, S is summarize. It's a 4-part thing to get you through any problem. And I've got examples in the book of why and how you would use it. Once you learn to VUC them, VUCS, life will become so much easier. And it works on teenagers, it works on kids, it works on bosses, it works on family, it works on neighbors, maybe not politicians. We'll have to try it there.
Awesome. We're certainly coming toward the end of our time here together, but are there any other questions that business owners should be asking, regarding this now, or begin to think about asking so that when they get into the community later on, they will be able to ask those questions?
Yes. The question is, how long will it take for me to master this? And what I'm going to say is read the book, practice it with someone. In the back of the book, I put a discussion guide. And if you can get other people to read it with you, either family, neighborhood, community, work, then you create like a little book group. And then you go through the questions together and you ask and you go through it with each other. What it really does is it creates a lovely level of bonding and connectivity with the other people in the group, and it cements the learning. So just by reading the book by yourself, you'll get good at it. You'll be able to do things. To have mastery, you have to have a little bit more practice. And it's always more fun to practice with a friend. And so if you look in the back of the book, I said I wanted to do that to my publisher. I wanted to give it away for free. I didn't want to set it up as some separate extra thing people had to pay for. My goal in writing this book is this is really my love letter to humanity. Things can be more harmonious and less acrimonious. You can discuss difficult things. You can have ways of wiping up that spaghetti sauce when it's wet so it doesn't ever become a hardened, nasty, horrible thing. And you can do it all with holding the calm. One of the other things that I like to do, even for myself, because I have an amygdala, I get triggered, I'm human, is I use it as a rabbit's foot or a mantra or a talisman. I'm holding the calm. I'm holding the calm. I'm holding the calm. And then this way, it calms down my amygdala so I can think, so I can create a moat between the emotions gripping my chest, and I can pull it out a foot so I can breathe and I can see choices. I can make choices. And it gives me a sense of power. So then I become less reactive and my amygdala becomes less reactive. That's what makes this so magical and so good to do. Literally just saying that to yourself, neuroscience has absolutely proven will calm you down, because never in the history of calming down has anyone ever calmed down by being told to calm down. Isn't that funny? And yet, what's the first thing we do when someone's upset? Calm down, calm down. It's the worst thing you can do. All you do is trigger the person's amygdala, the fear and negativity center in the brain, to say, back up, crackerjack. Get away from me. Don't tell me what to do. Even if the advice was good. So by saying, I'm holding the calm, you calm yourself down, which is number one, the best thing in the world. And if you're helping someone else, you can say, I'll hold the calm with you. Or help me understand why you're so upset. You seem so frustrated. And what you're really doing is you're communicating that your I care about you meter is not broken. Or my I don't give a darn meter isn't broken. And you can crank up my I give a darn meter up to the highest volume. it just calms people down naturally. And it's so beautiful and it's so easy. That's why I wrote this book, so that everyone can have these tools.
Excellent. What final thoughts do you have to help motivate business owners to get started right now, or to take this subject we're talking about very, very seriously?
Well, on my website, holdingthecalm.com. So holdingthecalm.com, holdingthecalm.com. I've got all kinds of free stuff on there for people. I just want to make people have resources. So I have interviews, I have podcasts, I have 1-minute videos that are 1-minute tips, and then you can sign up for them on email for free. And you can pass them around to other people. And you can actually look at your situation in your life and say, how do I make things better? How do I make them calmer? How do I deal with that person I just can't talk to? How can I deal with this person I don't like? How can I deal with this person that frightens me? All of these tools and techniques will work in all of these different situations, and they'll be helpful. But you use the right tool for the right situation, because you don't eat soup with a fork, and you don't really eat steak, I think, with chopsticks. So using the right tool, and I go through it in the book to try to make it as easy and accessible as possible. And then go to the website, holdingthecalm.com. Get the free videos, sign up to get more whenever I make more. And there's podcasts, webinars, all kinds of things on there. Take them, use them, enjoy them, make your life better. Don't let conflict in any area of your life stop you, inhibit you, or prevent you from really soaring and being able to do everything that you want to do, be all you can be, all these wonderful commercials. I feel like I'm in a Pepsi or Coke commercial right now, but it's really true. It's really true. You can do it. Holding the calm.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for a great interview and for your generosity in sharing what is working right now with everybody here. And I know there will be people wanting to connect with you, or even carry on the discussion with you and find out more, perhaps want to work with you. Could you tell us a little about your website and how they can connect with you today?
Hi, holdingthecalm.com. That's all you have to do. And it's easy. I've got an easy menu. You just click through it and have anything you want to try to hopefully make your life a little easier. And remember, in the back of the book, I have a discussion guide. So you can actually create a book club, a little group. And if you're in an organization that needs continuing education credits, organizations will give you continuing education credits for it. Just submit the outline and the copy of the cover of the book, and say you're going to spend an hour or 2 or 3 reading it, discussing it, talking about it. And what's beautiful then is you get to hear other people's perspective on things. And what you'll find is that someone will say something so surprising, and you will think, I'm shocked. I had no idea you thought like that, or you believed that. But it's in a healthy, clean place to be able to have that kind of conversation. And guess what it does? It bonds you. It connects you to other people and creates a richness of experience and relationship that you can't buy and you can't inherit. You can't just get, you earn it. And you earn it by engaging with somebody in something like Holding the Calm. So I really urge everybody to do it, because it is absolutely marvelous. And I'm going to leave you with a wonderful story. In 1940, the play Peter Pan first appeared on the stage. It was a great smash hit. And then little children were jumping off of fire escapes and bridges and really getting hurt because they were trying to fly like Peter Pan. What happened? All of the newspapers started attacking the play. You're bad, you're terrible. And the producer of Peter Pan could have said, well, that's just ridiculous. It's a play. What's wrong with you people? Instead, he said, I have a problem. The play is too realistic. I need to figure out something to do. I know. Peter Pan will only be able to fly when Tinkerbell sprinkles magic pixie dust on him. Problem solved. So I'm hoping that all of you listening to this go sprinkle magic pixie dust all over the world, and let's make it a better place. Let's do it together.
Excellent. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've just received a masterclass on this subject. And if you were to take one of those things, apply it today that you've discovered, you could see a tremendous change in what you're trying to do. As you know, success breeds success. And what I've discovered in my personal life is when I succeed in the very first step, my confidence goes up, and I have got this courage and energy to implement the next step and the next step and the next step. And truly, over a period of time, I change, or I've moved from point A to point B, and I've changed my business. I've even changed my life. So I want to encourage you to go and implement what you've discovered today. And if you've got any questions, just go straight into the community to ask those questions. Go implement this stuff. Go implement this stuff. I can't emphasize that enough. Go implement it. And until next time, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly yet to come. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.